While most teenagers are labeled as troublemakers, they typically express their frustration by storming off or sneaking out at night. However, some exceptionally audacious teenagers have taken things to a shocking extreme by committing terrible crimes. Join us as we explore the top 10 dangerous teenagers facing life in prison. Number 1. Raceland. Martin 17-year-old Raceland Martin appeared before Superior Court Judge James Ammons in Cumberland County for the murder of his grandfather, Joseph Emmett Nulty. Using a hatchet, he committed this terrible act that shocked the entire town. Despite being a juvenile at the time, he accepted responsibility and pleaded guilty to first-degree murder. The prosecutors decided to treat him as an adult to seek justice for his heinous actions. The judge had the authority to give a life sentence without parole, but considering Martin's age, he opted to grant him a chance at parole after 25 years. During sentencing, Martin displayed intense grief and sorrow as the prosecutors described the extent of his grandfather's injuries. The courtroom was filled with astonishment and fear. Martin's defense tried to depict a distressing picture of neglect and instability in his family, suggesting that his parents had abandoned him for years, leading him to rely on dark books and criminal stories for solace and education. The defense claimed his immaturity, mental instability, and peer pressure were contributing factors to his actions. As the court proceedings unfolded, it became evident that family dynamics played a significant role in the tragedy, and the judge ultimately delivered a sentence that balanced the severity of the crime with Martin's age at the time. Number 2. Gavin Ramsey. In Wadsworth, Ohio, Gavin Ramsey committed a tragic crime. He was searching for answers about his 98-year-old aunt's whereabouts, but instead, he discovered her dead body inside a closet. Ramsey was convicted of strangling her in January 2019 and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of release. The Douglas family, seeking to raise awareness about pending legislation, participated in the event. They hoped to eliminate life sentences without parole for teenagers guilty of major offenses, but unfortunately, their efforts were unsuccessful as the act was passed. Wadsworth's police chief, Randy Reinke, called this crime the most horrible he had seen in his 28-year tenure. He couldn't understand what drove Ramsey to commit such a horrific act, describing it as a mysterious darkness that had gripped the young man's spirit. During the trial, Gavin's mother, Christine, recounted her son's mental health difficulties and her efforts to seek help through counseling and medication. She believed her aunt's death might have been just a warm-up for potential future victims, as Gavin had alarmingly described his objectives in a notebook. Number 3. Aidan von Grabo, a 15-year-old, tragically took the life of Michaela Grody in November 2017 by assaulting her with a knife in her family's apartment. The incident shook the neighborhood, and authorities quickly apprehended von Grabo with multiple witnesses positively identifying him as the assailant. The district attorney's office swiftly filed charges, arguing he should be treated as an adult, leading to a high-stakes court struggle. Von Grabo was eventually sentenced to life in prison, despite an unconventional defense attempting to blame the acne treatment Accutane. Throughout the trial, he showed little remorse for his actions, exhibiting more fear of the impending sentence than genuine remorse for the life he had taken. Number 4. David Myers, a 19-year-old Buffalo youth, committed a terrible act. He appeared before Justice Christopher Burns, dressed in orange and handcuffed at the waist. His lawyer stated that Myers had cooperated with the police and confessed fully. He pleaded guilty to serious charges of second-degree arson and confessed to taking the life of 52-year-old Brian Dominic by setting fire to his South Buffalo home. In court, Myers admitted his responsibility, expressed regret for his actions, and wished he could undo what he had done. However, the trial revealed that Myers and Dominic had been arguing before the deadly encounter, shedding light on the motive behind the crime. Ultimately, Justice Christopher Burns sentenced Myers to life in state prison with a minimum of 20 years before parole eligibility. Myers was visibly distraught as he addressed the judge, realizing the gravity of his actions and the consequences he would face. The community was shocked by the horrific nature of the crime, and the punishment brought some closure. But the impact of this senseless act of violence will be felt by all those affected for an indefinite period. What are your thoughts on these young criminals and their sentences? Share your opinions in the comments, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. See you next time.